Natalie is a graduate here. I thought we'd bring back more graduates who are successful in their fields. And big hand for
Yes.
Mike, should I stand or do I sit?
No, you can sit.
Okay, great. So, thank you so much, Sheffy. You know what, I think I'll just start at the beginning and tell you a little bit about myself before I go into what it is that I'm doing now. Yeah, I, like many people, am a career changer. I used to work in advertising as an ad executive, and it wasn't until we were commissioned to do a new campaign. It was an anti-obesity campaign geared towards inner city youth. So as the account executive, I had to do a lot of research, and this was a whole new subject for us. So I did an immersion. I went back to high school to really kind of get to know the kids. I did focus groups to understand the whys, like why aren't you eating healthy? What would motivate you to? And essentially found out that high schoolers aren't really too concerned with heart disease and diabetes. And then also just to kind of get the lay of the land of the neighborhoods, you find out that these areas aren't very, they're not very conducive to a healthy lifestyle because there's not a lot of parks to play in or exercise in. There's also like this really high concentration of fast food restaurants. And then if you walk around and take the path of how people would get home, there's not a lot of commercial grocery stores, it's a lot of corner stores. And so these corner stores, they're small. There's limited refrigeration units, so they're gonna put their higher ticket items, things that sell the most, which are like the sugary beverages, alcohol, things like that in there. And then the food items, that what people are shopping for, are these highly processed, shelf-stable food, which is very unhealthy. And so you have like this generation of kids that are just eating chips, and they're suffering from obesity, and at the same time, malnutrition. They're so unhealthy. There's no nutritional content to the food that they're eating. So we're having like this health epidemic. So after doing that campaign, we launched it, it was great. I just got so inspired and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I really wanted to tackle this very solvable problem. Like if all of us just sat here, we can come up with so many ideas of like how to fix this situation. It's just trying to mobilize people and then create activism in the youth who it's happening to. So I just really needed a shove, or I needed something to really commit me to it, because I had like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I would say enrolling in the Cordon Bleu was that like shove. It's like, okay, I'm here. And my goal of coming to the Cordon Bleu was that I knew how to access fresh fruits and vegetables. I mean, they grow from the ground and there's all this land, we could do stuff, or I can get donations, but I don't know how to make it taste good. I don't know how to have somebody eat that instead and put the bag of chips down. So that was why I enrolled. And while I was here, you learn so much. It's really amazing. And I had no idea what I was getting into. I had no idea about that discipline, but it has really translated into so many different areas of my life. After graduation, I did work with a lot of different nonprofits. I've kind of gone the gamut of working with kids and feeding and doing the urban farming and just trying to get an idea of all these different aspects and help out whenever I can. And now I got linked up with a really amazing organization, because I would say one of my favorite parts of working in nonprofits was teaching. I really did enjoy inspiring other people to love food, to love cooking, to do it instead of going out. So I used to teach nutrition classes, kids cooking classes. I did an advanced course where we would pick the top students to go to Patina in Los Angeles, and it was very rewarding. And it wasn't until I heard about St. Joseph Center that I ever thought I would do anything like this, but it was something that made an impact. So first I'll talk about St. Joseph Center as a whole. St. Joseph Center is an organization that is dedicated to helping people get the tools that they need to become self-sustaining, stable individuals. So we're talking about people who aren't self-sustaining and stable, and we're gonna access them and help them get back on their feet. There's a number of ways that we do that. First is we have our homeless service center. And our homeless service center, it's a place where people can come and shower, wash their clothes, receive mail, make phone calls. They can also sign up to our restaurant and they get free food. It's really great. And we help out with their case management, with their housing, getting them in the right programs to help them get on their feet.
Case in point, there's two students from here, you know them, Cheryl and Craig, right, who are having difficulties. I took them out to Venice to see if we can help them because they've just been falling into one problem to the next, and they were there today.
Yeah, so then now they have case management, which will help them access funds, get into stable housing together, because that's actually much easier. And so yeah, it's the right tools for them. Another aspect is a pantry. We have a pantry, it's like a grocery store. It's everything from fresh fruits and vegetables, milk, eggs, bread, to toiletries where you have toothbrushes, soaps, whatever you need, and this is all free as well. And then we have senior services, a very neglected population. We have veteran services, and then we have our training services. So we have two training programs. The culinary training program, and we have Code Talk, which is a training course for women that teaches them programming and coding and enters them into the tech field. So let's talk about culinary training. So what we do is we go through stacks of applications and we thin it out and we interview several people, and we only have 16 spots per session. And what we're really looking for are people that need us, you know, like they've been unemployed, they can't afford culinary school, they have a strong passion, desire, and capability. Because what we all know, and a lot of people don't understand coming in, is you have to be smart, you have to be strong. There's so many aspects, and you have to be able to spot that in a student and be like, you can do this. If we give you the tools, you can do this. So once we select the students, it's French culinary technique. The major difference though is that we have to condense this into a 10-week formula.
Wow.
It is highly intense, and I tried to prepare students. I'm like, this is gonna be the most stressful 10 weeks of your life, but it's at the end of the 10 weeks, you will have so much knowledge. So some things that we're gonna cover, the first week you're doing your manager level serve safe certification. And then you're going into stocks and sauces, all the mother sauces, daughter sauces, you're doing meat fabrication, you are then going into different cooking methods. So you're learning searing, braising, smoking, and then we're doing like the costing and the menu planning and the conversions and getting into the science of the nutrition. So it's very intense, and that is one aspect of it, of the three. So the second aspect is these are people who have had barriers to employment, and there's a reason. So we need to tackle what it is. This allows me to work with people individually and be like, okay, I see what the issue is, and whether it's maybe not having the right skills to find a job, or how to put together a resume, a cover letter, how to interview well. Because even if you interview me, there's so many things that I can do better. And by working on it, by having several people interview you and really like hone it in to where you know how to say what you mean. And that's really a hard thing to do, especially in a stressful situation. And then after that, how do you keep a job? There's always conflicts that arise. What do you do? How do you handle a lazy coworker or something happening in the workplace? So there's also just like all these soft skills that we're working on. And then lastly, I had touched on that cafe. So we have a cafe that we run. It's a sit-down cafe. It's all free, and so what we do is we service all the people at our homeless service center. They can come through, and students get the ability to practice. So they're practicing their cooking methods, but they're also practicing kind of that urgency, because as soon as you get on the line and you have all these people sitting down, you have to get used to that flow. And what do? The water's not boiling, and then you start learning those little tricks of the trade of how to cover it and what to do and how to do these large scale meals while you're on the fly there. And they still have to plate beautifully. Everything has to be executed well. And the great thing about it is that it's not going to waste. It's going to be a meal for a person who might not even get a meal the rest of the day. And then it's served by these volunteers who treat them with respect and compassion. And this is a community of people who essentially are invisible the entire day, where people don't want to look at them. But here's somebody, you get to sit down and you're getting this great meal, because it's usually about 3 courses. They're getting this great meal, they're getting dignity, and getting to feel like, okay, feeling more like a person. The great thing about that is that we have gotten a lot of our students from there too, is that they fell in love with the cooking aspect, and they're like, you know what, I can do this. I can get my life together. And I have one student right now who came from Bread and Roses, and he is the most dedicated person you would ever meet. I tell you, like, when I give them a lot to do on the day, and I give them a bunch of reading assignments at night, and they come back and he's telling me everything that he is doing, and I'm
Prince?
Oh no.
Oh,
No, this is a new one.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Prince is great. Now he's working directly with Eric Greenspan, doing awesome. Same situation. And so I think that the difference that we have, as far as, we are serving a needy population, like you said, is that we're screening for that passion and desire and capability. A lot of people, you'll find it's just terrible opportunity, like no opportunity, and terrible situations fall on people. So you really can't judge, because I know some of the smartest, most hardworking people that have had the worst things happening to them. Yes. So, given the opportunity, they take it and they run. And I think that that's really what I really love about the work that I do, because we never dumb it down, we never make it easy. If anything, we only make it harder, and students kind of rise to meet you with what you expect of them. And then the great part of my job as well is that I get to place them in externships. And so I do it based on their trajectory. What are they really interested in? And then also, their attendance is huge for me. How many days have they missed? What am I staking my reputation on? And then lastly, grades. So there isn't anything that I won't go after that they ask me to go after. So we do meet on it, and we've had a lot of success. Most of the restaurants that we work with are on the west side, because we are in Venice, but it's the top restaurants on the west side. And we have an 80% higher rate for the people who go on externship with them. So a lot of these top restaurants, like if you follow Eater and they list all the top LA restaurants or top LA chefs, we have students with them, or who have been with them since they opened their restaurant or whatever. And I'm really trying to get these stories out there. This year we're going to do a big publicity push, but it's amazing the work that somebody who's been down and out can really accomplish, because what I hate is when you're working in the kitchen and they're too good to dump the trash. It's like, I'll do it. I'll dump the trash. Also, the celebrity chefs I work with, they'll dump the trash. And you can't be too good for anything. You always have to remain humble. Yes, so As far as working at St. Joseph Center, it's kind of a culmination of the passion. I always knew that what I was going to do was in the nonprofit world, but it's been really great to build up other people's lives. And instead of like your own successes, you can kind of, their successes are your successes. So
One of the things
you
I
really
know
have it.
about your place is that you've got a great chef.
Mhm.
Chef Derek, tell us how you got him and his story.
So Chef Derek, he was a private chef.
He comes from LA Trade Tech. Right?
Yeah, he went to LA Trade Tech, and he is a master. His food is so beautiful. His technique is perfect. He was like a private chef to the stars, and had gotten involved with St. Joseph Center, and then they're like, well, why don't you be our chef and teach? So he's like, well, okay, but I need this new kitchen, because they were doing it out of like a non-compliant kind of grubby kitchen. Now we have this like a beautiful facility, like really nice kitchen. He teaches the classes Monday through Thursday and cooks at Bread and Roses. He did represent us on Chopped, and he won.
One shop.
Yeah, so he definitely has the talent. He has a lot of connections, which has been really great for us too, because we are completely privately funded, meaning that we don't take any, we don't do grants or things like that. And so this private funding comes from a lot of different ways, but some of it is, just word of mouth, people who hear about us or have an association with maybe one of the clients he used to have. And yeah, it's really great. He's really awesome. Although he's opening up a restaurant this year, so we might lose him. But the work that he has done over the last 9 years will survive on, because he's done such a good job of really laying that foundation regardless.
So he helped create the curriculum with you?
The curriculum, and it's always evolving, because you figure out what works, what doesn't work, or like something new comes along, you can never stay stagnant.
And you have a baking aspect?
Yes, we do. We don't get to touch enough on baking, because so many people who go into culinary really want to do baking. And that's kind of where the guest chefs come in, and that's what Chef Yi would do. We do have one woman, Clemence.
To come in.
Yes.
And, yeah, because that's all I used to do in Florida was nonprofits. So I would love to
Please do.
jump in on that.
I'm gonna give you a card.
Your patience or something.
Thanks.
Can I just interrupt? Who just joined us on the phone?
Who's on the phone? Who's on the conference line?
I'm here,
Ann
and here, and
Silverman.
I'm also is here.
I signed her in already. Anybody else on the line?
We got someone right
Okay.
there.
The silent majority, you out there?
Ano,
Okay,
Ano Sue.
just Ann.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty
Well,
much it on the
Yeah, I think-
nonprofit
yeah.
front.
Part of the aspect of this, of bringing Natalie in, is that there's more than just working in a kitchen, commercial. Now, Nat's actually gone out and helping disadvantaged people, but she's actually part of a school. And since our little school is not gonna exist after next year, there's other opportunities to go out there to
And
provide.
if you know anybody in need who really is passionate about culinary, tell them, call me.
Yeah.
So do you offer, do you look, we could come in and have a tour of the place?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty open. And it's nice, it's a nice day at the beach, because we're actually 2 blocks from the beach.
From the beach.
Yeah, so if you're upstairs, which we don't have kitchens upstairs, but you can see the water.
That's
It's
awesome.
nice. Mhm.
Wow.
Is that the kitchen that you can cook them in there?
Yeah, so that's the kitchen is downstairs, and it's
many square
fairly
feet is
small, because we can only accept 12 people
Oh, 12
per
people.
session. Or actually, it's up to 16, but usually it's 12, because 16 is really tight. Yeah.
So how many classes have you graduated so far?
We just graduated our 60th.
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 Wow.
Well, we've been doing,
Lord.
yes, Bread and Roses has been,
Wow.
that cafe has been serving free food for 30
No
years.
way.
And the culinary school has, well, not in that specific location, but has been around for 25.
Hmm.
Yeah, So,
So before you came,
yes, well before I came around.
who was doing it?
So initially, it was the person who was cooking at Bread and Roses had just noticed that there were people who were interested. Like, can I help out every day? Like, can I help out? Can I help out? And he was like, why don't I just turn this into some sort of training program, and then maybe we can get people jobs. So that's initially how it started, and then it's just kind of evolved. And I think once Chef Derek came on board, he really turned it into like culinary school.
When was the new kitchen house?
That was built, I think that must have been like 7 years ago.
What did it cost you?
I don't.
Now, Chef Derek also has videos. I've watched a lot of his videos. They were excellent training videos.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pretty amazing. I said, I look at chefs in other schools and say, here's an example from Ellie Traytech of a chef, became an executive chef and an
Yes.
instructor. He's showing the rest of us off, actually. He's great. I mean, I really, I just totally appreciate what he's doing.
But he studies constantly. I mean, he is always working on his craft. He is always changing things, yeah.
So tell us about some of the adventures you've had with students.
So, as far as adventures go, okay, so it's also interesting because I also have this whole other life. I also do work for profit. I do a lot of catering, and I think most significantly the fun stuff is that I'm a sous chef for Betty Fraser, and she's like a celebrity chef and gets invited to all these fun things, so I get to go with her. And so there's a lot of fun traveling involved and getting super pampered, free sweets and free food and drinks and free
Such as?
spa days and stuff.
Oh,
where?
So this is it's the Sun Food and Wine Festival that we do annually. That one's really fun. That one it's all about the chefs. They really take good care. It's in Connecticut, and yeah, it's basically like a chef reunion. It's a bunch of people from around here, from the East Coast. There's some Southern chefs that come through, and but I would say that those things. Actually, let me backtrack real quick. Since I'm talking about Betty, that's all about mentorship, and I think that's one thing that I always talk to my students about is finding a mentor that is worth being your mentor, and somebody who's also willing to help develop you. And for me, that was Betty. I screwed up a lot, for sure, in the beginning, but I think the thing that always kept us together was that I always, even if I was miserable, I was always there. I was always working hard. I would always stay. I would always be there early or on time, and throughout the year, she always just started, it was always me she would call. And then over time, my skills develop. You know, your skills get better, and you work on things, and your flavors and everything that you get your own personality into, where she was like, okay, I really love your cooking. And now you have the work ethic portion, and you also have like the cooking aspect, you start to really work well together. But I do think that mentors are really important on that. And then there's like some Sonoma kind of things. Like there's one coming up in May. And then there's a lot of like charity events where they did, recently was the Autism Speaks event, where they got all these celebrity chefs, and oh my gosh, that roster was really full. So I'm trying to think of who, well, there's like Susan Feniger, and there's Eric Greenspan, there's Bradley Miller, there's Tila, what's his name? I need to look at that list. I'm so bad at names. But basically, it was hosted by Conan O'Brien. Pink performed, and all you really had to do was cook for one table. So Conan O'Brien called it the Benihanas for the 1%, because you had this one table with a celebrity chef making you this amazing 6-course meal, and it was a lot of fun. So those kinds of things I really enjoy still participating in. I do really enjoy eating at fine dining restaurants. And then I do get to visit a lot of my students. So this last Friday, I got to go to Leona, which is in Venice, and that's owned by Naisha Arrington, who was just voted Best Chef 2015. And I interviewed her, and one of my students who helped her open the restaurant has been with her since day one. And the love between them, it was like so obvious, and it was so awesome just to see. He thinks of her like a mom, even though she's not very old, but just the way she has mentored him, the way that, and one of the questions I asked was like, you know, what were some of the screw ups? And he's like, oh, there's too many, but there's so many funny stories that at the time feel horrifying, where you're like, I don't want to go back. But then in retrospect, it's totally hilarious, and you're just like, I can't believe I did that. And then I also got to go visit another student that same day at Arthur J in Manhattan Beach, which is, it's like the highest end of steakhouse you can go to. They call like other places pedestrian. It's ridiculously expensive, but beautiful. They do every single thing from scratch. And I got to interview one of the students with the executive chef there, and really kind of see the appreciation and love in that. And that's mentorship. That's somebody investing in you, knowing that you don't know everything. You're gonna screw up. But what you do have is you have the passion, and you're able to recognize opportunity and take opportunity and not waste it. Because you only get so many opportunities. And you never know which one is the one that's gonna pay off.
I think we used to call that apprenticeship.
Yes.
Correct? Apprentice.
Yes.
And that's really how we used to learn the business, by being an apprentice with somebody that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you get from this school?
What did I get?
Yeah.
Oh, from like, definitely skills. I was probably the worst student though. I was the best academically. I did really great essays. And I think I was likable enough that my chefs would still work with me, but I remember there was like one horrifying experience where I tried to like hide what I did, and then my chef would like brought me up in the class, and he's like, what did you do? And it's like, I screwed this up. And then I'm like, I tried to hide my shame. And it's like, okay, at least we could communicate and talk.
Which chef was that?
Oh my God, I can point him out, but I can't remember his name.
Older feeling.
Yes.
That's it.
But the thing is you just have to recover. And I did learn that, and the other thing I learned was discipline. Lots and lots of discipline, and you just have to work hard. And there's that physical aspect that I wasn't used to working hard. I was used to being at a desk. I was shocked at a lot of the things that I had to do, but you know, now it's fun to be able to instill that in other people.